What's up, you all? I'm your host. I'm back. We're having another fun-filled show today. This your boy, Free Blanche, aka He is Blanchard, aka Blanchstradamus. What's up? Break the Matrix. And today we're going to be discussing Candace, Owens, and Marquett, Burton, or Marquett Devon. You know, he says peace to the saints. Anyway, we're going to be discussing Candace Owens first in her interview with Jason Lee. And I want to say this, right? I often talk about the anti-white agenda. And the anti-white agenda is really an anti-God agenda. Not because I believe that white people are God, but they are attacking white people as a cover to go against the things of God, i.e. Christ. If you notice, everything that is good, would be godly, they attach it to white people. So when it comes to things like the nuclear family, when it comes to things like the Bible or Christianity, when it comes to a stable society, everything that's good, they associate it with white, but they tell you that it's bad. And so there was an old saying when I was a kid, when I was a child, and he used to say that God is about decency and order. This is what I was told my whole life growing up in the church, that God was about decency and order. Now, I want you to think about what the culture is today and tell me if the culture is about decency and order. The answer is no. So we know that there is an attack on decency and order. And we all can agree that when it comes to this planet, everybody wants to go to Western countries with Western culture. There's no mass migration into any areas that aren't ran by white people. It's just so the indictment on the world is that as much as they want to say they dislike white people and how bad white people are, the fact still remains that mass migration is only into white countries. But let me start with Candace Owens first. I was doing the short videos. I was trying to get more content on my page, so I just put the short videos on there. You know, things I want to talk about. That's all. Just keep them short, easier for people to watch them. You know, help me to try to get monetized more. I don't know. We'll see if it works. I'm gonna give it 90 days. Aja Wilson's Nike commercial. Have I seen it? I don't think I've seen it. I know I'm going to be disgusted. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Here we go. Let's just jump right into it. I don't know if I even have that video. Do I even have the one I want? I know I do. Let's see if this is it right here.
You believe the transsexuals experience is not one that deserves to be validated.
Yeah, and I'm similarly trying to unpack why you don't believe Rachel Dollaz's lived experience is one that should.
No, I do. I understand, and that's the conflation where you're trying to unpack one topic by putting up
exactly
another.
The same.
But we can't ask why a rhinoceros isn't an elephant. We're talking about an elephant, and the elephant in the room is that you have a skewed perception, in my opinion, about a transsexual's experience. And I'm simply asking, why do you feel like it doesn't deserve to be validated if that's how the person feels? Because you know what you guys do, and I'm gonna say you guys that have these strong opinions.
What, I just spent one person sitting here.
These strong opinions. No, it's people that you represent, because you have very strong opinions. And what happens when it comes to the LGBT community is you'll conflate pedophilia by using children and gay, which are two different things.
I'm not conflating here. Your argument is that if someone who is not clearly being born with a penis, for example, decides that in their lived experience, actually, no, they should have had a vagina, and so they're going to start living like they have a vagina and getting cosmetic procedures like they have a vagina, that suddenly I should respect that. I'm saying, okay, keep it consistent and say the exact same thing about Rachel Dolezal, and you hesitate there. For some reason, you don't want to do that. And so...
Oh, no, I said she was crazy.
Exactly. So you have to keep...
So I've made this argument before about Rachel Dolezal. And Rachel Dolezal, if you notice, she said that she was transracial. She used the same terminology as the LGBTQP. Don't forget X, Y, and Z. She said she was transracial because she was actually making the same argument that transgenders make. In other words, transgenders say, I was born in the wrong body. Rachel Dolezal is saying, I was born in the wrong skin color. The reason why they don't want you to pick your skin color or your race is because they won't be able to control you. You won't be able to be controlled because all of the issue is race. But if race is a construct, if it's just a construct that I can switch in and out or flip-flop, then it doesn't have any power anymore. It doesn't mean anything. The only way this whole racial narrative works is if you're stuck in your race. That's the only way it works. And so if you notice, that's the one immovable thing. Now, a man can say, I'm a woman. A woman can say I'm a man. An adult can say I'm a child. An adult can say I'm an animal, like I'm a rock, an inanimate object. I'm a robot, a cyborg, an android. We see people saying they're all types of things. I'm a god. I'm a dragon. I'm a lizard. I'm a snake. I mean, I'm a werewolf. We see all types of things. But the one thing everybody draws the line at is race. You know why? Because the machine that's in control needs us to be divided on race. Because all of the agendas springboard off of race. So if we look at globalism, communism, socialism, and Marxism, for America, it has to be centered around race. Because that's one thing that everybody can agree on and see. You look different than me. It's the one thing that everybody agrees on. You look different than me. So it's a universal automatic divider. Now, instead of people saying, you know what, I don't see color. You know, when people say I don't see color, they get condemned. When people say I don't see color, you see black folks saying, no, see my color, treat me different. I'm black. You see it all the time. Black people get offended when a person says, I don't see color. Knowing good and well they mean, I'm not going to judge you based on your colors, what they're saying. It's just a phrase. Anyway, so the reason why Jason Lee is pushing back against this race thing is because if being black doesn't mean anything and being white doesn't mean anything, then how are they going to control the people? The greatest tool of control right now is the skin color because it's a visual thing that everybody can see. We all agree that my skin is darker than yours, your skin is lighter than mine. It's just everybody agrees with that. If you get rid of that, how are they going to control us?
Keep it ideologically consistent. That's all I'm saying. But I'm saying to you, I'm consistent. Rachel is not a black woman, and a trans person can't just wake up one day and decide to be a woman. A man can't wake up one day and decide to be a woman because of lived experience. I'm sorry that I'm consistent, but you have to figure out why you're not.
And so Candace Owens is bringing up the point that I brought up is that Rachel Dolezal chose to be transracial. She identifies as a black woman. These people identify as a woman. They even say it. I identify, you know, they go down the whole list. I identify as a woman who's schizophrenic, bisexual, slight autism. Like they go on a whole list of what what they are, you know, pronouns and all this stuff. So again, Rachel Dolezal should be allowed to be black, but they won't do it because if race doesn't mean anything, then the system's going to crumble. The people that are holding on to this race thing the hardest are black people, because black people's existence is tied into their appearance. A black person's worst nightmare is to wake up and race doesn't mean anything. It actually doesn't, because these globalists are just using it as a tool of control, division and control. But a black person's worst nightmare is to wake up one day and color not mean anything. But let's continue.
Also, by the way, incredibly insulting, the idea that you get to be a woman just because you got some boobs. Something very denigrating about that to women. And it's also, by the way, incredibly insulting, the idea that you get to be a woman just because you got some boobs and a lips. There's something very denigrating about that to women. It's basically saying anyone can be you. It's just a costume. Like, being a woman is not a costume. It's not a costume. It's just not.
First of all, some of you don't even do it well. I mean, I know a lot of women that don't have lips, that don't have ass, that can't have kids, that, you know, and those, some that do have uteruses that probably shouldn't. But that's not because of my opinion as a man. It's my opinion.
Because
that's
not what makes a woman. That's the whole point. And it's
so
like,
what makes a woman
but you
a
think
woman?
that you have to have lips and boobs to be a woman?
No, but what makes a woman a woman?
Well, we could start at the very beginning. We could talk about why can the doctor tell you, why do I know that I have a male in my stomach right now? Why are they able to do that? Right? We can go back to
but all
X
women
and Y.
can't have kids, though.
Okay, some women can't have children. That means something has gone wrong. In a perfect world, every woman has a womb and therefore can have a child. Things can go wrong, of course.
Jesse James on Instagram said, exactly, the old tactic in Europe countries was division based on class. That's the old communism, yes. Here in America, they have to use division by race because the class separation won't work here. Exactly, because we have a middle class here in America, it is impossible to have a class division because the societies are too intermingled, meaning that we interact with each other too much. So if you go to the grocery store, there's somebody in the grocery store from each class, from poor, middle class, and upper middle class to rich and wealthy. They're all in the same arenas. We all party together. We go to the same events together. Like, the society is too intermingled to use class. There's no separation in America. That's not American culture. And so Americans have fun and do social activities together. So that means you go to a baseball game or a basketball game or a football game, it's all walks of life in the crowd. And so it's kind of hard to use class because we have a middle class. It's not just poor and rich. We have poor, middle, rich, and we all intermingle. Our children go to school together. Like, it's just, we go to college together. Like, so because America set up, which is beautiful, that someone poor can be sitting in a classroom, a college classroom, with a person that is rich. You know what I'm saying? So there's no separation. So my point is that will be impossible to do here. But the easiest thing to do here is race. Why? Because we have a history of slavery. And I know I'm jumping the gun a bit, so I'm talking about LGBTQ stuff here, but let me backtrack. I just saw his comment. Thank you for the comment. Oh, let me know, Jesse James. I would love to. Let me write your stuff. Let me write that down. Jesse James. He got a gunslinger name. I'm gonna write your name down, Jesse. Jesse. And another thing about American culture and society is that America is not as racist as portrayed. That's another thing. America is very tolerant because what people agree on most in America is a way of life. Most people don't care what people do in their private life. Just when you come into the public arena, behave yourself. That's what people care about. How you conduct yourself in public. But I'm gonna get into that. Let me start over. I'm sorry.
Way incredibly insulting, the idea that you get to be a woman just because you got some boobs and a lips. There's something very denigrating about that to women. It's basically saying anyone can be you. It's just a costume. Like, being a woman is not a costume. It's not a costume. It's just not.
First of all, some of you don't even do it well. I mean, I know a lot of women that don't have lips, that don't have ass, that can't have kids, that, you know, and some that do have uteruses that probably shouldn't. But that's not because of my opinion as a man. It's my opinion.
Because that's not what makes a woman. That's the whole point. And it's
so what makes a woman?
But you think that you have to have lips and boobs to be a woman?
No, but what?
Okay, so just to simplify this, because he's going to act slow. If a woman in a horrific turn of events, disease, accident, if a woman was to lose her reproductive organs, her breast, her anatomy down there, if a woman was to lose these things, would she still be a woman? The answer is yes. It's just like if a person couldn't speak, could they still praise God? Yes. If a person couldn't talk or a person couldn't move, say quadriplegic, could they still praise God? Yes. And so, because praising God can be done without you actually speaking or moving. Just like being a woman, you can be a woman without having your anatomy intact. So they try to simplify this and say, and this is why you see these people get up in a costume, because to them, being a woman is all aesthetics. They just go ahead and bypass science. They bypass a woman's nature. They bypass what a woman is actually spiritually, because there's a spiritual essence of a woman, it's like a spiritual essence of a man. They bypass all of that and they over exaggerate. You notice they always over exaggerate what it means to be a woman. So they get breast or butt implants, they get lip injections, they dress very provocative, they walk. It's like everything's over exaggerated. Usually you can tell when somebody is a transgender just by the way they're walking. Everything is exaggerated because they're imitating a woman. Just like you see all these women that want to say they're men, they always pick the tough guy to be. These women that quote unquote want to be guys, they never pick the normal guy. They never pick to be a nerd. They never pick to be a square. They never pick to be a scientist. They always pick a tough guy to be. You know why? Because they're imitating something. So in their mind, the epitome of the woman is the ultra sexual, ultra provocative, ultra seductive, eyes on me. That's the epitome of a woman. The epitome of a man is this ultra macho, ultra tough looking dude. The irony is they're literally placating to stereotypes. They're literally the entire community is literally following stereotypes of men and stereotypes of women. And so the goal is to create confusion. Yes, Warriors Dream, a caricature. The goal is to create confusion. Because if a man isn't a man and a woman isn't a woman, then guess what? Then God isn't God. Do you understand what I'm telling you? If truth is no longer truth, then God is no longer God. So when you see people attacking the truth, what they're really attacking is God. So the whole purpose of this is confusion. These people in charge could care less about who is trans, pan, bi, what, freaked out, gay. They don't care. All they want is division. They want control by division. So as long as you're being a victim, you'll never see what's going on. And to me, be honest, this is my opinion. Being a victim is satanic and it's demonic because the Bible says, greater in he that is in me that is in the world. Think about greater is he that is in me that is in the world. When you are a victim, you give the world all of the power. You're saying that the world is God. That's what you're saying. A victim says, a person, I can go out tomorrow and get beat up and robbed. I can go out and something horrific happen. I still have a choice on whether I'm going to be a victim or not. Am I going to blame God for that? Am I going to blame the world for that? No, I'm not. I know in life that things happen, good and bad. We don't get to pick and choose the good times and the bad times. All we can do is just keep following Christ, and we hope we have more good than bad. Most people cannot grasp the concept that life is hard, but it's fair. I want y'all to remember that. Life might be hard, but it's fair. And if life is fair, then is it really hard? Let's continue.
What makes a woman a woman?
Well, we could start at the very beginning. We could talk about why can the doctor tell you, why do I know that I have a male in my stomach right now? Why are they able to do that? Right? We can go back to X and Y. But
all women can't have kids, though.
Okay, some women can't have children. That means something has gone wrong. In a perfect world, every woman has a womb and therefore can have a child. Things can go wrong, of course. But it doesn't change the rules. It doesn't mean like suddenly, well, that means a man can be a woman. That's crazy.
Listen, the trans argument is a easy argument to have because there's so much there's so much around the trans movement. I mean, like, I know the comments and I know a lot of people are going to agree with what, there's a lot of women a lot of cis women. You like being called a cis woman?
No, it's an insult. I'm just a woman.
And I told you all that term cis is going to become a derogatory term. And I don't know if you all been paying attention, but the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community, they're already putting people in positions of power. So we're going to have people, your mayors, your police chiefs, your fire chiefs, your principals, your deans of colleges, your presidents of colleges, your CEOs. They're going to dominate all of the positions of control. So anything that rules over a person or people, they're going to have those positions. That's what they're doing now. And I'm just telling you all, they're not going to be nice. They're not going to play fair. They're not. They're talking about we love, we want to be accepted. It's a lie. Have you ever seen them in a position of power and they behave themselves? No. Because spiritually, they're not meant to do that. You see, the spirit behind the movement is a conquering spirit. It's not a spirit of let's get along, let's come together. That's not the nature of that spirit is conquering. It seeks upon the earth in which whom it can devour. That's the spirit of it. The nature of it, the spirit of it is satanic. That's why if you notice, they never stop pushing. They want this, then they want this, then they want this, they'll never stop. Because the nature of the spirit is to conquer. There can be no pact between lions and men. So there can be no pact between us and that movement ever. They'll never stop. Like Satan. I was listening to a sermon the other day, and the guy was like, listen, man, he said, Satan is never going to stop. Like, it's not like Satan gonna chill on holidays. I'm not gonna bother you on much. Satan is constant. It is a consistent. Every breath you take, the enemy is after you. Every time you blink your eyes, the enemy is after you. Every time you go to sleep, the enemy is after you. Every time you wake up, the enemy is after you. The enemy is after you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without ceasing. There is no time period where the devil is not after you. There's none, zero. Matter of fact, even when you're at home, by yourself and you let your mind wander, the devil is there. So I'm telling you that that same spirit the devil has is the same spirit behind the LGBTQ agenda. It's the same spirit. So these people don't plan on having a union with society. That's not what they want. They want to dominate. They want to conquer. They want to control. And I know this sounds bad to people that are. They're like, no, 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 no. But they don't understand things of a spiritual nature. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against wickedness in high places. So again, everybody's down here fighting each other, when at the end of the day, the real fight is not between us. It's not between flesh and blood. It's with the wickedness in the high places. It's against the principalities. It's against the rulers of darkness. And these rulers of darkness extend well beyond the Jews, extend well beyond the Vatican, the Pope, extends well beyond the communists and the globalists and the socialists. What I'm talking about is even above all of that. We're talking about wickedness in high places. We're talking about the rulers of darkness. We're not talking about regular people. We're talking about above them. So again, these people, and some may mean well, and some may be confused, but I'm telling you, the end result of this is going to be death. They're not going to play fair. The Bible says the Antichrist is going to have no want for a woman. I believe that the Antichrist is going to be probably transgender. The Antichrist is going to be probably transgender.
You call yourself something else, because how about you call yourself not a woman? You know what I mean? The whole reason why you're calling yourself transgender is because you recognize that you're not what I am. So why are you calling yourself what I am ever?
I got one more.
Let's not conflate it with being black. Otherwise,
well, there's no. Well,
would you defend it?
Well, there's no defending crazy. That's crazy.
Let's not conflate it with being black. Otherwise, you'd have to defend Rachel Dolezal.
Well, there's no. Well,
would you defend it?
Well, there's no defending crazy. That's crazy. But
why is that crazy?
Hold on. Because she was a white woman that says she was black.
Yeah, that's a man saying he's a woman.
But let's back up.
If you're gonna say that a man can just be a woman, why can't Rachel Dolezal just be black? You got to be consistent.
Because she's white.
Okay, because it's a man.
No, but hold on. I get it.
You know I'm right.
I get it.
I'm right.
No, I don't agree. And this is not a matter of right or wrong.
But it is.
Hold on.
This one is.
Let me tell you.
You notice what he said? You notice what he said?
Why isn't Rachel Dolezal black?
Because she's a white woman.
Okay, because it's a male or it's a female.
What?
So you notice what he said? She said, "You know I'm right." She said, "You know I'm right." And he says, "But I don't agree." And so what you're going to find is this thing where now in a normal world, the truth is undebatable, which means when things are true, I don't really have a choice. It's the truth. But this new thinking, this new age thinking is, even though it's the truth, I can choose whether or not I agree with it. And so you notice she said, "You know I'm right." He's like, "But I don't agree." So, and then he says, this isn't about right or wrong. Think about it. If we remove right from wrong, we remove right and wrong, and we take away truth, what have we done? How is God going to exist? Now, when I say this, God is sovereign on the throne. We know that nothing can remove God. But I'm saying, if the truth is subjective and right and wrong is subjective, then what type of world are we living in? That's a world where anything goes, do as thou wilt. Like, that's chaos. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want utter and pure chaos. The lucid experience said you take away right and wrong, you live in anarchy. And it's true. People can imagine chaos, but if you want to get a glimpse into chaos, just look at Black culture and the Black community. Think about a society where 75% of the children were born to single mothers. Think about that. Think about 75% of all the children, just like for America, take it in America. Think about it. In America, or give a scenario, imagine America where 75% of the children are born to single mothers. Imagine America where the homicide rate that's in the Black community is now among all communities. Imagine in America where most of the children can't read, write, or do math on grade level. Imagine America where most of the churches are compromised through liberation theology, which is communism and Marxism. Imagine a country where the marriage rate is at 30%. Imagine a country where the women had the most STDs. Imagine a country where 81% of the women are obese or overweight. Imagine a country where the majority of the men follow behind women. Imagine America if the majority of the country is not a patriarchy, but a matriarchy. Imagine if America was reflected, or was Black culture was reflected in America. Imagine if America was just like Black culture. This is what they want, though. Because if America was just like Black culture, then it would fall, it'd be destroyed. So when I talk about the globalization of Blackness, this is what I mean. When I talk about the globalization of Blackness, this is what I mean. Now we're going to talk about, Marquett Burton or Marquett Devon had a clip, and we're going to get into that clip right now.
Among many of these types of American whites is not pride for being white. It's unadulterated hatred for everyone else. And this is not speculative. There is evidence. And these folks, as they speak, they're sitting on the bones of the Native Americans who were murdered. And there was never any criminal case. There was never any apology. In fact, oppositely, they made a holiday and called it Thanksgiving and acted like it was all good. They're standing on the bones of what is mass murder, and it occurred on a racial basis. Many of these people have not changed at all. It's not about being pro-white. It's about being anti everything else. And that is the problem with these people, is that they are, in fact, devils on earth. We never had a problem with you being pro-white. And when they try to flip the script and call Black people Black supremacists, you cannot give a single instance in the history of the United States where you have any group of Black people who committed organized violence against whites merely because they're white. I'll repeat that. Any group of Black people, an organization of Black people who committed organized violence against whites merely because they're white. Black people don't have it in them. I've many times described Black people as an effeminate mass. Conversely, you can describe the neo-Nazis, you can describe the Ku Klux Klan, you can describe the whole industry that was around transatlantic enslavement, and the dead bodies hanging from the trees have even been immortalized in songs like Strange.
So, so again, Marquett is a, you know, there's a thing where there's a low-hanging fruit, and then there's a fruit that's on the ground. Then there's a fruit that's on the ground that's rotten with maggots in it. That's what he's picking up, is that type of fruit. Let me go to my image. So let's just dissect what he said bar for bar. And Chuck and I did a live on this, and Chuck gave an excellent breakdown. And we talked about the great replacement theory and all these things. And so that's on my channel with me and Teach 'em Chuck, or Teach 'em Chuck and I. We did a 2-part series. It's excellent. I mean, Chuck goes into depth about all these things that Marquett that he thinks he knows, but he doesn't. So let me go ahead and say this, though. The Native Americans that he's claiming that we're on Native Americans' bones, they were Native American bones before white people even got here. Native Americans were killing each other, so they were already standing on bones. And if we look through history, there wasn't this thing where white people came and just conquered. There were wars, there were battles, it was a fight, because that's what happens when you are trying to conquer new lands, discovering new territories. The Native Americans don't have a deed on American soil. The Native Americans came here across the Bering Strait. They're not even from here. So again, when we're talking about history, it only sounds good if it isn't any context. The Native Americans that we know today came across the Bering Straits and came down into what we call North America. They're not even from here. And even when they were here, before any white man ever got here, they were killing each other. So the Native American bones have been here for a long time. Any group of people that is to have any kind of kingdom, there's going to be bloodshed. So he wants to pick on white people for doing what the entire planet does. Anytime a kingdom has arisen or a group has exerted its dominance, the bloodshed is always followed, and enslavement. So when we have empires and kingdoms being built, we have death and we have slave labor. We have conquering, we have pillaging, and we have plundering. The entire planet has done it. But because Marquett is so brainwashed and so simple, he doesn't realize that, because he's so propagandized and programmed, all he sees is white and black. Now he's going to try to convince you that he doesn't have a problem with a white person being pro-white. That is a lie. A white person saying they are proud to be white, they're automatically called racist. White pride is already seen as racist. These white people aren't anti what you think they're anti. What white people are, and really I'm going to switch out white people, and I'm going to talk about Western culture and Western society. What Western culture and Western society thrive off of is decency and order, meaning white people have never required you black folks to be morally good. They have required you all that when you come into a public space to behave yourself. You haven't seen any campaigns of white people saying, y'all got to live morally right. No, what you see white folks complaining about, white people complaining about, is how you all behave in public spaces. What you all do in your communities, white folks don't bother you. You know how we know that? The abortion rates through the roof, The homicides through the roof. The children can't read or write on grade level. The obesity's through the roof. The diseases through the roof, and they don't bother y'all. It's only when you all go into a public area and you decide to let your Black culture shine for the world to see. That's what causes problems. It's not because you're Black. It's because you have a culture that is anti-decency and order. You have a culture that is bent on destruction, not building. So these white people don't have an issue with you because you're Black. They're not anti anybody because they're anything. These are the same white people that came up with the civil rights movement. I mean, not come up with it, but signed off on it. These are the same white people that signed off on equality. These are the same white people that signed off on inclusion. These are the same white people that signed off for a society that got you all here acting like you're out of control and insane. This free society of America, these free societies of Europe, that's white people's doing. Because if it was up to you all, it wouldn't be that way. Nobody listening to me right now, nobody in this chat believes that if Black people ran America, that it would be free. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that if Black people ran America, that it would be free. Nobody believes it. So Marquett, although you want to sound intelligent with these old talking points, with these old propagandized and program talking points, you sound like an idiot. Because you don't know what you're talking about. The entire history of the world is not summed up with white people bad. Go to Africa right now and tell me what they're doing in their countries. We can look in America right now. Look at the cities that are ran by Black people. Tell me how are they looking? Tell me about the cities in America that are ran by Black people. How do they look? For the most part, white people avoid you all. You all cry and complain, and they give you what you want. You can't name one thing that Black folks have cried and complained about that white folks didn't give them. You can't name one thing, Mr. Devon or Mr. Burton. You can't name one thing that Black folks have complained about in America that white folks didn't give them. We can go from legislation, we can go to money, we can go to education, we can go to any arena, and anytime Black folks have complained, white people have capitulated and gave it to them. Now go to Africa and tell me if that same thing is being done when people complain. Matter of fact, go to the Black community and tell me when folks complain, do they get their demands met? Of course they don't. And again, I did a live with Teach 'em Chuck a couple of months ago. It's a 2-part series, and we talk about the great replacement theory, which is real. There's only mass migration into white countries. I want you to think about that. There's 8 billion people on the planet, and 7.5 billion of them want to be around white people. There's not even enough white people to supply the demand for folks that want to be around them. Think about that. There's not enough white people in the world to meet the demand of all these folks that want to be around them. There's less than 1 billion white people on the planet. Everybody else wants to live around them. Think about that. There's no mass migration into countries ran by people of color. I wonder why. Why is there only mass migration into white countries? They're so bad, they're so evil, they're so wicked, they're so hateful, they're so anti, but everybody wants to live around them. Why is that? Now, Marquett's talking about an effeminate spirit in the Black community, but he shares the same spirit. He has his mother's spirit. He doesn't realize it, but he has his mother's spirit. He's not thinking like a man. He's not logical. He's thinking with emotion. He's upset with white people, even though he loves white women. He's upset with white people, though. I want your women, but I'm mad at you. So really, he's upset with white men. Really, what he's upset with is he has an inferiority complex. He believes that when white people look at him, they think they're better. And my response to that would be, so what? Listen, I'm okay with someone being better than me. You know why? Because I'm okay with someone not being better than me. I'm okay either way. It's okay. There are folks that are better than me and folks that aren't better than me. But guess what? I'm going to focus on me. So if a white person thinks they're better than me, then so what? There's a bunch of white folks be they're inferior to you. I don't see you praising them. This is a very disgusting and disingenuous argument because you notice they never give white people credit for anything, but you're literally on white people's platforms, using white people's microphones. Everything about your life is white, but yet you're condemning them. Do you think Marquett Burton or Marquett Devon would have been who he is today if he was born in Africa? If he was born in India? He wouldn't. He would be a nobody. He would be a nobody trying to come to America. He would be the same person trying to fight to come over here and be around white folks. We would not know who he was. But let's go through it.
What you find among many of these types of American whites is not pride for being white. It's unadulterated hatred for everyone else. And this is not.
And again, this thing of white pride, which they're calling white pride, is really self-preservation. Because what they're being told every day is that they shouldn't exist. What you all are telling them is that they should only be able to exist under you all's terms. They got to think like you all think and act how you all want them to act. That's not freedom. So again, they're not anti anything. They're trying to hold on to their liberty. They know good and well the moment they can't be white, it's over. You all have already managed to dehumanize white people. If a white person makes a mistake, they're racist. If they cut you off in traffic, they're racist. If they don't refill the coffee pot at work, they're racist. If they don't say good morning to you, they're racist. If they lock their door when you walk by, they're racist. You have made it to where white people are not allowed to even be human. Meanwhile, you all can do nothing right and get celebrated.
Not speculative. There is evidence. And these folks, as they speak, they're sitting on the bones of the Native Americans who were murdered. And there was never any criminal case. There was never any apology. In fact, oppositely, they made a holiday and called it Thanksgiving and acted like it was all good.
So again, Marquett, hold the same energy for the entire planet and the history of humanity because everybody has done it, even the Native Americans. You see, this whole killing people thing is only an issue because white people did it. Christians are being slaughtered right now as we speak, 322 a month, and Marquett, Burton, or Devon ain't gonna say a word about it. So clearly the killing isn't the issue. Black people lead the nation in homicide. Black men lead the nation in homicide, and Marquett ain't gonna say a word about it. You know why? Because the issue ain't the killing, it's who's doing the killing. So again, he wants to say the issue isn't them being white, but it is.
They're standing on the bones of what is mass murder and it occurred on a racial basis. Many of these people have not changed.
It's not racial. This is how simple most black men's mind is. This is how simple it is. Do you honestly believe that all of these wars we fought throughout history have been because of race? Do you believe that we did all of this fighting and conquering across the globe because of how somebody looked, or did they want the land? You see, the issue here is that white people were able to win. That's the issue, that they won. And we can all agree that if black people had won, death to America, there would have been no America. So again, he's talking about they're wrong because they won. Just like black folks were mad at Kyle Rittenhouse because he lived, and then they made George Floyd a martyr because he died. It's the same thing. They're mad because white people won. But here goes the crazy part. The world agrees with white people winning. Why? Because there's only mass migration into white countries. All of these people want to be around white people and then get over there. And guess what they do? They all do the same thing. They try to destroy it. You know why? Because the attack isn't against white people. It's against God.
Changed at all. It's not about being pro-white. It's about being anti everything else. And that is the problem with these people, is that they are in fact devils on earth. We never had a problem with you being pro-white. And
you heard what he said? He said they are devils on the earth. Now I'm going to ask you a question. If a white person got on TV and said that black people are devils, what would happen? You can't even imagine it. You can't even imagine. Even the most racist white people don't call black people devils. Even the most racist white people don't call black people the devil. Could you imagine if a white person got on a platform and called all black people devils? Could you imagine what the backlash would be? And he's trying to convince you that it's not an anti-white agenda. Are you crazy?
when they try to flip the script and call black people black supremacists, you cannot give a single instance in the history of the United States where you have any group of black people who committed organized violence against whites merely because they're white.
Yes, I can. He doesn't know statistics and data. He doesn't know anything. There doesn't have to be an organization doing it because it's happening all over the country at random. Go look up the crime statistics of blacks against whites. Matter of fact, go on YouTube and look at a situation where a black person attacks somebody white and tell me when they don't mention that the person is white. Most attacks on white people by black people are racially motivated. If you ever play basketball and there's a white guy or some white guys on the court and black folks get upset with them, the first thing they're going to bring up is their skin color. You see, Marquett's like a young little communist Marxist. He don't even know it though. He's so indoctrinated and programmed and so filled with pride. He don't even know it. He can't even see it. He's oblivious to what I'm even saying right now. He has no clue what I'm talking about. He's talking about an organized group. An organized group wouldn't need to do it if it's happening at random. Black people are controlled by globalists, communists, Marxists, socialists, liberals, and Democrats. That's who controls black people. So guess what? So again, an organization, yes, that is being done. The communists, the globalists, the Marxists, the socialists, the liberals, and Democrats got you bliggities crashing out against white people. So yes, it is organized. They feed y'all with propaganda and programming every single day. It was in your history books growing up. It was on your television. It was in your music, your TV shows, your movies. It was in your household. It was in your communities. It was every single where in your existence, this programming and propaganda. So the job's already been done. So yes, there are black people attacking white people in mass because of race. Yes, it's true. Yes.
Repeat that. Any group of black people, an organization of black people who committed organized violence against whites merely because they're white.
Yes, we see it all the time based on statistical data of how many black people attack white people. Yes, sir. It is organized because it's ran by the globalists, the communists, the Marxists, the socialists, the libtards, and Democrats. Yes, it is.
Black people don't have it in them. I've many times described black people as an effeminate mass. Conversely, you can describe the neo-Nazis, you can describe the Ku Klux Klan, you can describe the whole industry that was around transatlantic enslavement, and the dead bodies hanging from the trees have even been immortalized in songs like Strange. What you find among
all
many
propaganda. All propaganda. They done showed you a few images. They done showed you a few pictures. They done showed you some video footage and you done ran with it. The number of homicides in the first quarter of a year eclipsed the entire number of lynchings ever. He doesn't even know how many lynchings even took place. He doesn't know where lynchings even started. Lynching started with the cowboys and the Mexicans. He doesn't know anything about any of this stuff. He doesn't care because what he's saying sounds good. We already know if it sounds good, it's a lie. Now, he talks about peace to the saints, but I know he doesn't know Christ. And so even though his mind is propagandized and programmed, I do want to pray for Marquett, that he does get delivered from this obligatory spirit, this spirit of mental oppression. But let's just give you an example of what black people are allowed to do and what white people can't do.
One idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem.
Now, I'm going to stop right here. This was on C-SPAN. This was on C-SPAN. This is on C-SPAN. Let me see. Who owns C-SPAN? Who owns C-SPAN? C-SPAN is owned by a nonprofit organization called the National Cable Satellite Corporation. Now, do you think C-SPAN would allow somebody white to say what he just said about black people? Do you think C-SPAN would allow somebody white to say what he just said about black people? The answer is no. This guy, Camus Caban, whatever, you think he got backlash for this? No. You think it was called a hate crime for this? No. You think he went to jail for this? No. A white person could never say this. A white person could never say anything like this. Matter of fact, you never even heard a white person say this on TV. You never even heard it. You never even heard it.
Now, I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem, because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted.
So again, what I'm telling you is that a white person could never get on TV and say this. So what I'm telling you, Marquett, is that this is an example of how deep this anti-white agenda goes. Your version of history is false. It's propaganda. It's programming. It's not real. This is reality. There is an anti-white agenda. And so they gave you a false history so that you would hate white people. That's the goal. Because white people dared to create societies that were biblically centered, that were Christ centered. Let me go to something real quick. And I've shown this before. But right here, this was by the Smithsonian, and I've done this before. Aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture in the United States. Listen what this says. Rugged individualism. The individual is the primary unit. Let me make this bigger. This is real. Let me see if I can make it. Rugged individualism. The individual is the primary unit, self-reliance, independence, and autonomy, highly valued and rewarded. Individuals assumed to be in control of their environment. You get what you deserve. This is what they're saying whiteness is. This is whiteness and white culture. Family structure. The nuclear family, the father, mother, 2.3 children is the ideal social unit. Husband is breadwinner and head of household. Wife is homemaker and subordinate to the husband. Children should have own rooms and be independent. This is what they're saying whiteness is. So if this is whiteness, then what is blackness? If this is whiteness, then what is blackness? Emphasis on scientific method, objective, rational, linear thinking, cause and effect relationships, quantitative emphasis. So basically, if you decide to critically think about something, that's whiteness. So my question is, then what does it mean to be black? History, based on Northern European immigrants, experience in the United States, heavy focus on the British Empire, the primacy of Western, Greek, Roman, and Judeo-Christian tradition. I mean, why wouldn't it be that if they built a society? Of course it's going to be that. But we've already established, again, do you want this kind of history, this kind of society, Judeo-Christian society, or do you want the black culture version? Which one you want? Protestant work ethic. Hard work is the key to success. Work before play. If you didn't beat your goals, you didn't work hard enough. So if this is whiteness, then what is blackness? I'm gonna read it again. Hard work is the key to success. Work before you play. If you didn't meet your goals, you didn't work hard enough. So if that is whiteness, then what is blackness? Religion. Christianity is the norm. Anything other than Judeo-Christian tradition is foreign. No tolerance for deviation from single God concept. So again, if this is whiteness, then what is blackness? This is why I say that the anti-white agenda is the anti-God agenda, because blackness is everything that's the opposite of what I'm reading. And this was put out by the Smithsonian Institute. Status, power, and authority. Wealth equals worth. Your job is who you are. Respect authority. Heavy value on ownership of goods, space, and property. Then what's the opposite? Communism. What's the opposite of that? Globalism. What's the opposite of that? Black. Future orientation. Plan for the future. Delay gratification. Progress is always best. Tomorrow will be better. What is, if that's whiteness, then what is the opposite of it? Time. Follow rigid time schedules. Time is viewed as a commodity. If that is whiteness, then what in the world is blackness? Aesthetics. Based on European culture, steak and potatoes, bland is best. This is ridiculous. Woman's beauty based on blonde, thin Barbie. The same blonde hair we're not going to put on their head. Same blonde hair. Man's attractiveness based on economic status, power, and intellect. As if that ain't the black community. As if black folks ain't doing this. As if black folks ain't trying to wear European designers and drive European cars and tell other black folks how much money they have, how they done bossed up. Holidays based on Christian religions, based on white history and male leaders. So, as opposed to what? What's the black version? So give me the black religions. Give me the black holidays. Oh, okay. Justice, based on English common law, protect property and entitlements, intent counts. Justice, based on English common law, protect property, entitlements, intent counts. So in other words, the opposite of that, because that's the opposite of this is blackness, intent doesn't matter. Lawless. Don't protect property, because guess what? It's communism. You're supposed to have any property. And they're not supposed to have any entitlements. Competition. Be number one. Win at all costs. Winner or loser dichotomy. Action orientation. Master and control nature. Must always do something about a situation. Aggressiveness and extroversion. Decision making. Majority rules when whites have power. Listen what they've done. Black folks are the first ones to tell you their rights. The same rights that white folks, quote unquote, created are the same ones that black folks say, I know my rights. Look what they said. Majority rules when whites have power. How we get a black president? How we get a black vice president? Okay. So I guess when Barack Obama was president, majority white rule wasn't bad then, was it? When Kamala Harris became vice president, majority white rule wasn't a problem then, was it? Oh, I didn't think so. Be number one. Yeah, you should try to be number one. You should try to be your best, yes. Win at all costs. You should want to win. What's the opposite? Now, you're talking about win at all costs. In other words, do evil, do bad to win. And again, this was put on by the Smithsonian. This is a way to demonize white people. But what are they really saying? They're saying that everything good is white, which means everything bad is black, because you all say that the white is your counterpart. Communication. The King's English rules. We are in America. We're going to speak English. Yes, that's how it works. That's how it works. Written tradition. Duh. Avoid conflict and intimacy. This is supposed to be whiteness. Think about this. Avoid conflict and intimacy. But y'all told me that white folks are slaughtering around the world. Which one is it? First you tell me that they're the most evil because they're slaughtering people. Now you saying they avoid conflict. And they also avoid intimacy. Well, guess what that means? There's no love in their household. They don't have any love. They don't have any empathy. They don't have any hearts. They're not human. Don't show emotions. Don't discuss personal life. Be polite. This is what they're saying is whiteness. So then what is blackness? What is the opposite of everything I just read on this screen? The opposite is Satan. The opposite is death, destruction, and damnation. Let's continue. Let's continue.
What's wrong with some black people?
Can black people be racist?
I'm racist, yeah.
Against who?
White people, I don't like y'all. All the shit we've been through, we can't be racist.
Why can't black people be racist?
Just cause all the shit we've been through.
Why do you think some black people think that they can't be racist? Because they're racist. Because
What's wrong with some black people?
can black people be racist?
I'm racist, yeah.
Against who?
White people, I don't like y'all. All the shit we've been through, we can't be racist.
Why can't black people be racist?
Just cause all the shit we've been through.
Why do you think some black people think that they can't be racist? Because they're racist. Because they're racist.
Literally, they are racist. Like, the definition of racism is being prejudiced, discriminatory, and having hatred, believing your race is better than another race. When in that point does that definition say that black people are excluded from the definition? It doesn't. Any race can be racist. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are. You can be racist.
And again, what we see is an anti-white agenda. And it's an anti-God agenda. And the vast majority of black people, I'd venture to say 95+%, have hatred towards white people. 95+%. On one hand, they envy white people from a false perception. Like there are grown people I talk to, grown black people that believe that all white people are rich. Like most black folks believe that white people have lives that are like on the movies or TV. Because they aren't actually around white people enough to know that white folks go through the same thing as you go through. The difference is that their culture isn't a culture of death, destruction, and damnation. Black people that have the same culture, that have abandoned black culture and just have Western culture or a kingdom culture, a Christ culture, they have the same results as white people. Matter of fact, any group of people that aren't about a culture that's destructive are going to have the same results as white people. White people aren't unique at what they're doing. It's just a culture. It's just a culture. It is just a culture.
I'm about to tell you something you ain't never heard before in I'm about to tell you something you ain't never heard before in your life.
I guarantee what he's about to tell you, you've heard before. I guarantee it. It's funny how all these black folks talk about the same thing and they swear they're saying something different.
I'm about to tell you something you ain't never heard before in your life. Caucasians. Yes, Caucasians. Caucasians do not have an issue with people having bad behavior. They don't have an issue with people doing illegal or criminal activities. They don't have an issue when someone's being evil. Now, I'm talking about the collective. I'm not talking about individually, the collective. They don't. But they do have a problem when it's you who's misbehaving, when it's you who's being evil, when it's you committing illegal or criminal active, whatever. They have a problem when it's you. Why? Well, because it's this thing called the illusion of grandeur. Okay? See, the illusion of grandeur will have you thinking the worst about other people and seeing the best within yourself or of your people.
Now you see why they didn't want to listen. If it's even true that they didn't want slaves to read, now you see why. If it's even true that they didn't want slaves to read, now you see why. The worst thing that ever could have happened was that these bliggities learned how to read. Because boy, they done picked up words and phrases and no context, and just it's just been a downhill spiral ever since.
When you're really at the same level as other people that you talk about. You see what I'm saying? See, the real word for racism is narcissism. That's the real word for racism. They'll never tell us this, but it's the real word for racism is narcissism. No matter how much bad they do, they will always see themselves as good. But no matter how good you do, guess what? They will always see you as bad. Period.
And you know what's sad about this? What's sad is that he believes this stuff. White people, because we're saying this term white, which is really not even a thing. It's really Western culture and society. What it has a problem with is you all going into a shared space and acting a fool. That's what they have a problem with. White people don't, Western culture doesn't bother you all in you all's community. All they do is keep the streets paved, keep the sidewalks walkable, keep the street lights on, keep the water running, keep the parks okay. Other than that, they don't bother y'all. All they do is keep the infrastructure intact and leave y'all and let y'all have at it. So if white people really cared about your behavior, they would be in the black community every day trying to clean it up, but they don't. They only address you all when you all start doing things like going into public spaces and spinning the block. When y'all want to murder and pillage and plunder. When you want to sell dope by the school, that's when they get involved. When you all want to take black culture into shared spaces, malls, movie theaters, schools, college campuses, parks, amusement parks. So white people let y'all have at it. They don't bother y'all. It's when you all decide to leave the hood and decide to go venture out. Now we got a problem. Because I paid X amount of dollars to be in this event. I'm not going to have it ruined because you can't control yourself. That's when they have a problem. It's not a moral issue. This is a functioning of society issue. Society has to function a certain way so that you bliggities can sit in your car and be mad at white people. So in order for you to have that kind of freedom and luxury to sit in your car and be mad at white people, things got to be in order and they have to be in place. If you all ran America, it'd be gone by tomorrow. This is narcissism, dummy. It's not narcissism. What black people display is narcissism. Black people are saying they are the best people on the planet. That's narcissism. Black people are saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm the best, that's narcissism. Black culture is narcissistic. Black people are walking around saying they're gods of the earth. That's narcissism. You've never heard a white person say that, ever. Black folks will be on a street corner selling dope, calling themselves a king. A black woman will be in a strip club selling her body, calling herself a queen. Narcissism, black people are the last people on the planet to talk about narcissism. Black people make everything about them. Black folks literally say everything is about race, which literally means everything is about being black. That's narcissism, not what you're talking about.
This is narcissism. So a lot of the people in their community are narcissistic. This is really what we're dealing with. Narcissistic people are extremely selfish and extremely self-righteous.
Who's that sound like? Who's that sound like?
And extremely self-righteous. This is really what we're dealing with. Narcissistic people are extremely selfish and extremely self-righteous.
Who is he describing? You can't say white people are selfish and they got socialistic programs in America. You can't say that white people are selfish and they practice socialism. They don't have socialism in Africa. They ain't got socialism in China. They got socialism in Europe and America. There ain't no socialism in the black community. It's the government funding programs in the black community to be socialist. So when we talk about being selfish and self-righteous and self-centered, that's black people. That's black people. When black people have a charity, it's for black people. When white folks have a charity, it's for the world. Tell me I'm lying. When black people have a charity, it's for black people. When white people have a charity, it's for the entire planet. And he thinks he says something. He's a narcissist too, by the way. He is a narcissist. He has his mother's spirit. Another weak black man.
Joke and we really mean what we say.
Do you find yourself really hating white people?
Yes. Some people hold grudges, and I do. Look how they treat me. How many flows did my great-grandmother stroke, you know? How many babies did she take care of that wasn't hers? You know, stuff like that. And I'm just one of those people that hold things.
This young lady said she is mad at white people and she's holding a grudge because her grandmother had to work for them. Let me play it again.
Joke and we really mean what we say.
Do you find yourself really hating white people?
Yes. Some people hold grudges, and I do. Look how they treat me. How many flows did my great-grandmother stroke, you know? How many babies did she take care of that wasn't hers? You know, stuff like that. And I'm just one of those people that hold things.
Again, yes, black people have hatred towards white people, and it's been for years. Now, she hasn't even talked to her great-grandmother. She doesn't know how her great-grandmother felt about what she did, nor about how the people she did it for felt about her great-grandmother. She don't even know. But she's taken one experience that she's never experienced and she's applied it to all white people, which is what black folks do today. Black folks take slavery and apply it to all white people. It's crazy. But let's continue. Let's continue. Let's continue.
Around, let me follow you around. She was just way behind the counter. Now she coming to follow me.
I can watch whoever I want.
Why you watching me? It's a lot of white people in here. Why you watching me?
I watched them too.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
And
The girl said, now, what Marquett told you was that black folks don't have a problem with white people. So it's what he told you. The first thing she says is, why are you following me? It's a whole bunch of white people in this store. So again, nobody has brought up race or nothing. I'm gonna rewind it so y'all can see. Now, this is nothing to do with race. This lady works at this store. Now, I want you to listen to this interaction.
Around, let me follow you around. She was just way behind the counter. Now she coming to follow me.
I can watch whoever I want.
Why you watching me? It's a lot of white people in here. Why you watching me?
I watched them too.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
And I was on a phone call.
No, you didn't.
No one was.
How you was? If you was on a phone call, why you didn't stay over there? Why you walk way over here? Then when I go over here, you following, looking all over here. I go this way, you turn all the way around.
I can walk wherever I want.
Exactly. You're watching me.
Okay.
You're racist.
Yep. Yep.
She telling me she can watch me all she won't.
I can.
Why you watching me though?
I
You don't have to watch
I'm
me.
watching everyone.
You don't have to watch me.
Are you special?
You don't have to watch me.
Are you special?
You're not watching everybody.
Yes, I was.
No, you
until
wasn't.
You're now talking
no, you
to
wasn't.
Me. Yes, I.
Because you wasn't watching me. What you mean? Because I'm not talking to you.
I can.
Narcissism? This man had the audacity to bring up narcissism. This man, imagine black people going out into the world and believing white people are even thinking about them. Think about how narcissistic it is for you to go out in this world and believe that a random white person is thinking about you. Think about that. That's narcissism. This girl has to watch the entire store. You know why? Because people steal. And I guarantee if we go to the cameras, the folks that have done the most stealing in this store have been the bliggities or the nigglets.
Watch anyone I
Girl.
want. Okay. If that's the card you want to play, that's what.
Girl. You don't get paid enough to be watching me, baby.
I do get paid to watch. It's my job.
No, you don't. Say your ass over there. Don't watch me. You can watch your job. You don't have to watch me. You're following me. You're following. Yes, you was. Okay. Everywhere I went, I see you up looking around.
Now remember, he said narcissism. He said that white people are narcissists. Now we watching this in live action.
Acting like you on the phone. Why you not on the phone now?
I was on the. You want to see the call?
I don't know. Why you not on the phone now?
Now you're saying I'm not on the phone.
Why you not on the phone now?
Because I hung up.
Girl, you weren't on no phone.
You're talking to me.
Why you on the phone anyway? You at work.
I have to make schedule changes. I have a job to do.
Girl.
I have a job.
You work here? No? Okay, she needs your help. Help her.
Are you going to follow? You want to see? You want to record the interaction?
No. Go do your job.
Okay.
And that's what a narcissist will do. So what she did was she made the entire interaction about her, and then she decided to demean her, to belittle her. Go do your job. I'm in charge. Go do your job. And listen, The average black person is a narcissist because they believe that white people are thinking about them. This is what they believe. So you know, she said, okay, do your job. Go help her. Like now she's in charge. Now she running the store. I have a good friend of mine, a Dream Life. She's probably an expert on narcissism, and she can go on for days about this exact thing right here. This kind of gaslighting. You were following me. Don't follow me. Girl.
Look at her. She works at the mall.
I don't give a fuck. Gonna follow me around.
So again, dear black people, the issue that this white society has with you all is this. You all can behave this way on MLK with no problem. They're not going to bother y'all. But when you come into these public spaces, they expect you to behave yourself, to have some kind of decorum. This is the issue. The issue isn't you all aborting your babies and you can't read or write or do math on grade level and you're spinning the block with Pookie and them. That ain't the issue. The issue is when you come to a public space that's shared, they expect you all to behave yourselves.
Let me follow you around.
And I'm going to end on this joke.
White boy gonna tell me, what's up? I said, boy, this water fountain is for colors only. White boy gonna tell me, what's up? I said, boy, this water fountain is for colors only.
Listen, man, I thought this was a funny joke. I mean, I did. I thought it was funny.
Boy, white boy gonna tell me, what's up? I said, boy, this water fountain is for colors only.
Now, you know, black folks were upset with this joke. And I thought it was a very clever joke. I thought it was a good joke. Now, think about it. If she had been on stage and said this joke, folks would have laughed. Like it was a good, clever, funny joke. But you know, in the comments, black people is going crazy. I'm like, y'all got to stop. Y'all know this is a good joke, but they just so weak and programmed and so sensitive and soft. You can't even joke with them. You can't even joke with them. Anyway, thank you, Vintage Goods Willie. Sooner will be a dog and his gay lover. Right. Thank you, Willie. Vintage Goods Willie again. The Baphomet is an image of a man, a woman, and a beast. Listen, and that's going to be the Antichrist. Something, yeah, that's what I believe. It will be something like the Baphomet. Thank you, Willie. Cruise Missile, thank you so much. Always supporting. Willie Doc, blessings to Blanche, blessings to you, Blanche, and thank Christ for your ministry. Which statue is worse, the NYC black woman? Which statue is worse, the NYC black woman statue or that MLK Coretta phallic statue? Ooh, that's tough. I would say the black woman statue only because black folks don't understand abstract art. So they won't grasp that concept, but they'll grasp the Black Queen in Times Square. But thank you, Willie Doc. Thank you, Agatis Navi, for moderating. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all for tuning in today. Listen, I love y'all, and I will see you all again probably on Friday and Saturday. Listen, I love y'all, and I will hope you have a blessed evening. Thank you.